Hey everyone, welcome to our June Founders Deep Dive. So, for those of you who don't know, this is where I take a step back and dive into real conversations around the journey behind building. So, what it looks like, what it feels like, and everything that comes with it. Before we jump in, though, make sure you're subscribed and sign up for our newsletter so you never miss an episode. Also, a quick heads up our next spotlight is Sunday, June 28th at 4 p.m. EST. As always, we're featuring founders and leaders and the why behind their brands. So, to start off, hi, I'm Starah Dixon, founder of Mitsu's, a story driven platform connecting intentional collectors to original works by emerging artists and studios. We're talking distinct paintings, sculptures, and photography. So, through Mitsu's, we don't just showcase art for acquisition, we spotlight the narrative, the process, and the deeper ethos behind each piece and the artists who create them. So, on to you, Ty.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey guys, my name is Tysheda, known as the Signature Global Experiences Architect. I use my experience in 20 plus countries and over a decade of my work is to really build elevated travel experiences for people worldwide with founders and CEOs to create transformational retreats so they can really take their audience outside of the digital world and get more to in-person experiences. So for today, for those of you who have either been new here, welcome, or if you guys are returning, we appreciate you. Today's Founders Deep Dive, we're going to touch on one that is really needed, especially for those of us who are building, creating, and constantly in motion. We're talking about detaching your self-worth from your output. Because as founders, it's easy to tie how we feel about ourselves into what we produce, how much we're doing, how visible we are, as well as what we're achieving. But what happens when you're not producing at that level? What happens when you need to rest, reset, or even shift
Yeah.
from really what feels at your core? What does that worth change or just your capacity in that moment? So today we really want to get into that. How do you separate who you are from what you do, especially in a space that constantly rewards output?
When I tell you, I was so excited to have this discussion today. I would say, especially for where I am with my relaunch of Mitsu's. So, right now, I'm in the relaunch section and I have not launched. We're actually, so yeah. So, when I tell you that this was definitely one of the conversations that I wanted to get into, especially from my experience with doing my relaunch of Mitsu's. Boy, oh boy. So for me, detaching my self-worth is from like my actual business and the actual output has been something that is relatively easy for me now to do as opposed to when I was first entrepreneur. So I can definitely tell you that, for example, with health hires, anytime that I got a no, I would be like, oh my God, they don't like my idea, they don't like concept, etc., etc. But throughout time and also through seeing other entrepreneurs and how they navigate it, and also just me right now in the space, I've gotten better. So, one of the things that I've always taken is, for example, let's say someone here's my idea, but they don't know what to do with it, right? So I would have the converse with them. And if they don't see it, I'm just like, oh my goodness, okay, maybe it's something with me with not being able to direct the conversation well. But one of the things that I would definitely say is that, for example, if they give you feedback, that's usually the most important situation that you want to get inside of. And that's actually been something that's benefited me a lot. So, for example, I had a photographer that I was trying to get on the platform was really, really rooting to have her on because every single artist that I've conversed with are people that I truly, genuinely believe in and that I want to tell their narrative, right? They came back and they were like, oh, not at this time, X, Y, and Z. Instead of taking it as a hit to me, I basically said, you know what? That's completely fine because it really was. Like I'm at least dealing with an answer as opposed to just not knowing anything at all. And I just basically told them, okay, so what are some things that made you say no? From that, she was able to give me back some very valuable feedback where didn't feel like it was just information just to say something, but information that I can actually use and knowing that separation basically used it to fix up my platform, was able to contact other people, and boom, all of a sudden everything started rolling and going through that. I did want to put a little touch note on though. The only thing that I do not appreciate, the thing that I definitely don't appreciate is whenever, for example, if someone is scheduling an appointment with you, meaning they're asking for your time and you're setting aside time for them, and then they decide that they don't want to show up, no message, no nothing. the worst.
Yeah,
Yeah.
never preach.
It's one of those moments where you're kind of like, I really want to say something, but now we're going to mix personal instead of business, and that's not going to be good. So, those would be the main examples that I would have to say, at least for me in this current season. But yeah, let's share yours, Ty.
No, that I definitely, especially with the last one too. I also think it's just a courtesy, I guess, and in a sense of respect too, because it's like obviously we all have things going on in our lives, but especially when it comes to us running businesses and having, scheduling time out, that's not 100% always easy, but we're doing it for a lot of the clients and people that we're working with, and we're like, okay, we're making time out. The same way as if something happened unexpectedly for us, our clients expect us to let them know, the same way vice versa. And I don't think that's asking for too much, at least last time I checked. But
Yeah.
apparently,
It's a lot
apparently,
for others.
in my head or in our heads, that's not asking for too much. But I tell you, clearly it is because people do it. But also at the same time, definitely, I want to say the getting the feedback from people, everything, especially in the beginning. I want to say years
Yeah.
ago, a lot of it for me, feedback was never really an attack on it. It really was able to help me what was missing or something that I didn't know because obviously how you perceive what you put out there and what other people perceive are two separate things. So
Yes.
that really helps it because sometimes you're like, oh, I thought I was clear. I thought I had this here. And people are like, I honestly was confused or I didn't know
Yeah.
something. So it really definitely helps it. And that's almost for anyone. I know a lot of times, sometimes people kind of take criticism or take constructive feedback or any type of someone trying to help to see things that can take. Obviously, you're not going to take it all, but you do. It's always good to absorb and listen
Yeah.
because sometimes if you're automatically going on defense mode, there is things you're missing that could easily be tweaked. And it's just taking you to kind of like separate yourself from the personal, separate from really the emotional side of it because
Yeah.
it's like someone telling you do it this way better and you're like this is my baby, like I created this, I did this,
Mhm.
everything should be great, but really it's detaching the emotional side into the business side of it because honestly those small things are game changers sometimes in businesses, and sometimes if you don't actually change things up, you actually never know what will work better than maybe something that you're
Mhm.
struggling with now. And I feel like that's a really a big thing. Another thing also is also setting the boundaries from business versus personal. I feel like
Yeah.
that's a really a big one. And
Excellent.
especially when you first starting out in your business and in your brand, you're so focused on, okay, I need to get this done. I need to do this. You're wearing about 10 different hats and you're like one person.
Mhm.
So, and by the time you realize it, you're working from morning till sundown. You have
Mhm.
weekends, you're working, you may possibly squeeze in some dinner, but it's really trying to separate yourself from, okay, these are your hours that you're working. People aren't reaching you 24/7. Set the
Right.
boundaries of where they can reach you when they can. Set an outer office, even, or something where people can know that you're there, but you're not there 24/7. Because the key is that's easily how people get burned out. They get tired. And also sometimes how when they're not able to put in the same level of quality. So it's not necessarily that, you're not good at what you do, or it's just that you get drained very quickly. And then you also still
Mhm.
have to show up for your personal life at the same time. So that's a really big thing that, especially in the beginning, is very hard because you either want to get more clients, you want to do well, you want to make sure the quality is there, but also setting those boundaries in the beginning help you build the foundation that's sustainable long term because you want to make sure that people can see that and they're not also always thinking you're available to them.
Yeah, and to your point on a few things. So, one that I definitely got from that is definitely prioritization, especially with your to-dos, because yes, a lot of the time, especially in the beginning, you feel like there are 1,000 things that you need to do. But the only essential parts are, the way I look at it is what actually moves the needle, meaning what actually makes the changes for what I'm doing. And then I can go backwards from there on days where I want to set up an admin day where I could just be like, okay, now I could do the
Hmm.
fine tune
Yeah.
tweaking. Two, as we were saying with regards to starting out, or even I feel during the process of having your business, even if it's established, but you just want to add on to it, it is so tough to get your vision out there to have it be extremely clear, right? So there's two different ways of going about it. Either one, your vision is clear, but a person might be a little bit like, I'm not sure if you can deliver on that, which That is definitely valid. And also, too, just the act of being able to really successfully articulate what it is that you're looking to do. And then I feel, and I feel like all of us definitely feel the honor and the privilege when someone actually sees what you're trying to do or isn't 100% sure, but they're like, you know what? Yeah, like your heart's in the right place, your spirit and the energy is in the right place. So I'm willing to go on this ride for you and just know that I could say no at any point.
Yeah.
So there's always those little
Yes.
things. And yeah, I feel that who I was when I was or between 18 and 20 and who I am now, it's really starkly different in
Mhm.
terms of how I even handle everything. And as I said before, my favorite thing, as you were saying with regards to the feedback, is no, it's just a great opportunity to be like, okay, but give me a little bit of why.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're not always going to get the response, but
Mhm.
at the same time, at least you tried. And usually people are open to being like, okay, now I can put my guard down and here
Mhm.
is why X, Y, and Z. And
Exactly.
like I
Yeah.
said, for me, it definitely did help.
Mhm.
And again, as you said, which is the most important thing, which is making sure that you're not changing things for someone else that did not need to be changed
Yeah.
and knowing when to actually keep things the same or just find your right audience for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I do. I agree with you, especially too, because same thing you were talking about your messaging too, because that's also one thing that what you may think you're clear about when you're, articulating it to somebody, it may not be received that way. Sometimes it could be them, but also sometimes it could just be the conversation in terms of you could explain it perfectly well, but to them, they're just like, so what do you need again? Or
Yeah.
they may already have said no in their mind because they don't understand
Yeah.
what it
Yeah.
is. And by the time you talk to them and you hear it, sometimes they're like, oh, well, that makes more
Yes.
sense. But if you
Yes.
would have never asked and they would have said no and you'd been like, okay, well, I hope you have a good day. You would have never known because then the next time
Yep.
you talk to someone, you're actually making sure that you're answering those same questions and making sure that it's phrased better so that they already
Yes.
understand it before you even hit to the so how does it sound for you?
Yeah. No, definitely with regards to the opportunity to talk to more people because I could say that initially I would be not scared, but just nervous in terms of the reaction when you have your first call or your first
Yeah.
meeting before you get a yes. You know what I
Yes.
mean? I definitely do view these kind of situations as opportunities to, as you were saying, refine the way that you're saying. And also, a lot of the times you find that you'll change it in a way where it's still keeping the heart and still keeping what, your goal is, but in a way that's a lot more palpable, aligned to what their needs are. Because at the end of the day, especially when it comes to your customers, it's what they need,
Oh,
anybody that you're doing the
100%.
business with. So, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And I think too, I had a thought. I'm trying to remember what my thought was. Oh yeah. So the only other thing I wanted to say was it's also the reasoning why a lot of people are trying to be everything at
Yeah.
the same time, be
Yep.
everything, things of that manner. It's also okay to seek out other people who may have specialties that may not be your specialty. Because
Yes.
sometimes you're spending more hours, spending more times after work learning something, and you're like, well, you know what? If I would have just got someone who knows what they're doing, I could have used that time really to put more in my business. And I
Yeah.
think that's a lot of time where, some of us, we're very geared on, okay, I'd rather do it because if I do it, then, I don't go by explaining or things that matter. And really, you could be using your time with what you're good at and then, letting someone else who specializes and do that job so that you can actually be able to separate your life and be able to have more of like produce better, have more, resetting and downtime, and also deliver on the quality at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and it's funny because I really do feel like it's, the time that you really learn these are after you've had enough experience. Because
Oh,
I feel like,
100%. A hundred
yeah,
percent. Because
I
if
feel like
you
no
had
matter
asked
how
me
many
this
times,
years ago, I would have been like, I could just do it.
I
Just
know
do
what
that.
I'm
That's why I say,
doing,
as I'm literally living,
girl.
breathing, and eating my business, living,
Right.
breathing, and eating, working.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, especially before it was a no, it's just like, oh, it's the
Yeah,
end of my life.
it's
Like,
like,
that's
okay, well, if
it.
they're gonna say no, everybody's gonna say no. So I guess I'm back
Yeah.
to I was just not gonna work when that's really not the
Yeah.
case. And
No,
sometimes,
truly.
oh, sorry. No, I was gonna
No.
say one more thing.
Mhm.
Sometimes too, another thing, even if after you explain it, sometimes no just could just mean they're just not your client either.
Yeah.
So that's also a big thing too, because a lot of us, we're taking it to heart because it is your business, it's
Yeah.
your brand. So it's kind of like, wait. everybody should love this. Like everybody should,
I know.
because
Like,
I
I'm solving your problem. Yeah. And it's like,
like
no.
literally,
Like,
and it's okay. You're like, okay, it's not the min. Honestly, it's better to know that up front than to have to deal with it later on when they're trying to understand something that is just that's just not your audience, it's not your client. And then the next person you talk to is it. But if you automatically be like, okay, well, if they said no, everyone's gonna say no, I have to tweak it. You may not even have to change anything. You just have to maybe talk to your people, talk to your clients, talk to the people who actually want you, want your services, want your product, and actually believe in what you're doing. And that could be simple as making sure you're talking to them, getting feedback, doing your market researching, because all that really plays a big, big part into what you're building.
and I just thought of one other example too that I can think very clearly of when you start questioning your worth too with regards to your output is cold emailing. Okay. So, one thing which it is nice. I will knock on all the wood. So far, I know that I've been doing great with regards to that, but it wasn't always that case in the beginning of my journey. Let's be very clear. Now I know how to tailor my messages and all of that stuff, format. But one thing is not to get feel away when you don't get responses in the time that you wanted to get the responses. There can be a litany of reasons for that. One of them could be just time. And you'll literally find someone that you've messaged like a month or like a year ago, let's say, just being like, "Oh, actually, sorry, didn't even have any
Yeah.
time and so now I'm here." So it's kind of at that moment when you're looking to get responses, it may feel horrible and just down, but at the same time, it may have just not been the moment.
Yeah.
So, all that to say that your output will never be the full measure of your worth. So, as we see results change, responses vary, people will say yes for and no for reasons that are often nothing to do with you. So, the real shift I find is that learning to stay grounded in who you are while you build, which is what Ty and I have been saying the whole entire conversation, so that your identity doesn't rise or fall with those outcomes. So, just while you're here, drop a comment, share your thoughts, and let us know which topics or founders you'd love to see featured next on Authentic Ambitions. And until next time, keep building, keep growing, and stay inspired. Bye.